The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life. 300 species, representing civilizations that had traversed the stars for millennia, watched in collective disbelief. At the podium stood Susan Chen, her human frame dwarfed by the towering figures of the Croatian warlords and the crystalline forms of the Vex Collective. Yet her presence commanded the room in a way that physical size never could. "Esteemed members of the Council," Susan began, her voice steady despite the weight of 10,000 years of galactic hierarchy pressing against her words. "I stand before you not as a supplicant, but as a representative of humanity, a species you have dismissed, ridiculed, and denied entry to this very chamber for 3 generations." The Croatian Supreme Commander, Lord Vexthor, leaned forward, his 6 eyes narrowing with contempt. "Human, you were denied because you lack the fundamental requirements. No gravitic manipulation, no quantum fold drives, no void shields. Your species still uses chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons. You are primitives playing with fire." Susan smiled, and something in that expression made several council members shift uncomfortably. "Kinetic weapons? Yes, let's discuss those." Across the galaxy, on the orbital platform designated Terra Defense Station 1, Lucas Morrison checked his calculations for the 14th time. The young engineer's hands trembled slightly as they hovered over the activation sequence. Behind him, the observation deck was filled with military officials, scientists, and a handful of politicians who had bet humanity's future on what many called an impossible dream. "Project Longinus is ready, sir," Lucas reported to Admiral Kepler, his voice barely above a whisper. The Admiral nodded grimly. "Then God help us all. Give the signal to Ambassador Chen." Back in the council chamber, Susan's tablet chimed softly. She glanced at it, then looked up at the assembled lords of the galaxy. "For 10,000 years you have ruled the stars with your advanced technology. Your shields can deflect any energy weapon we could build. Your ships can fold space itself to avoid our missiles. You have made yourselves in your own minds invincible. This is not news, human," hissed the Vex representative, its crystalline body refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. "Why do you waste our time with statements of the obvious?" "Because," Susan continued, "you made a critical error in your assumptions. You assumed that because we couldn't match your technology, we couldn't threaten you. You forgot that humanity has survived, not by being the strongest, but by being the most adaptable, the most creative, the most ruthlessly determined." She tapped her tablet and the holographic display changed. It now showed the peaceful planet of Kepler 442b, humanity's first extrasolar colony, the world where 5,000 human settlers had been massacred by Croatian raiders 3 months ago, an attack the Council had refused to acknowledge, let alone punish. "You killed our people," Susan said, her voice now edged with steel. "And you laughed when we demanded justice. You said humans should know their place, that we should be grateful you allow us to exist at all." Lord Vexthor stood, his massive frame radiating menace. "Guard your tongue, primitive. The Council's patience has limits. So does ours," Susan replied. "Initiating Project Longinus now." On Terra Defense Station 1, Lucas entered the final sequence. The massive structure, 3 kilometers long and built over 5 years in complete secrecy, hummed to life. It wasn't elegant like the alien technology. It didn't bend space or manipulate gravity. It was brutally simple, horrifyingly powerful, and utterly human in its design. A railgun, the largest ever constructed. But not just any railgun. "Capacitors at full charge," Lucas announced, his voice now steady with purpose. "Projectile loaded. Target locked. Croatian Battle Station Omega, in orbit around Kepler 442b. Fire," Admiral Kepler commanded. The release of electromagnetic energy was so intense that it briefly created a localized aurora visible from Earth's surface. The projectile, a tungsten rod weighing 50 tons, covered in ablative armor and equipped with minimal course-correction thrusters, launched at a velocity that defied conventional physics. 15% the speed of light. In the council chamber, every species possessed faster-than-light communications. They all received the telemetry simultaneously. The projectile appeared on their sensors like a vengeful god, crossing the distance to Kepler 442b in a fraction of the time any missile could traverse. The Croatian battle station's shields activated automatically, designed to deflect energy weapons and disintegrate incoming missiles. But shields, no matter how advanced, obeyed the laws of physics. and physics said that kinetic energy increased with the square of velocity. At 15% light speed, the tungsten rod carried the kinetic energy of a small star-going supernova. The battle station didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist. The impact released so much energy that it created a temporary fusion reaction, a miniature sun that blazed for 3 seconds before dissipating. When the light cleared, there was nothing left but rapidly expanding plasma and the shocked screams of the station's support fleet jumping to hyperspace in panic. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had never agreed on anything now united in their terror. Lord Vexthor, his supreme confidence shattered, collapsed back into his seat. Susan waited for the noise to die down. It took several minutes. That, she said quietly, was one shot, one projectile, from one station. We have 17 more stations under construction. Each can fire once per day. We've calculated the firing solutions to every major military installation within 50 light years. She let that sink in before continuing. Your shields are useless. Your ships can't outrun light-speed projectiles. They would have to detect them and fold space before impact, which requires more time than the projectile needs to reach you. Your great technological advantage means nothing against a weapon you dismissed as primitive. The Vex representative's light dimmed. What do you want, human? Justice, Susan replied. For Kepler 442b, for every human settlement you've raided, enslaved, or destroyed, we want full council membership with all associated rights and protections. We want reparations, and we want it known throughout the galaxy that humanity is not prey. Lord Vexthor's voice was hollow. And if we refuse? Susan's smile was cold. Then we fire again, and again, and again, until the lords of the galaxy learn what humans have always known, that technology alone doesn't win wars. Innovation does, determination does, and the willingness to do whatever it takes to protect our own. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was granted full council membership within the hour. As Susan left the chamber, she allowed herself a small moment of relief. On her tablet, a message from Lucas waited. Project Longinus exceeded all expectations. The engineering team is already developing Longinus 2. We'll never be helpless again. Susan looked up at the alien sky above the council homeworld, thinking of the 5,000 souls lost on Kepler 442b. They had been avenged, and humanity had just announced to the galaxy that the age of the old lords was over. A new power had risen, and it had done so not by matching alien technology, but by perfecting its own. The first human railgun had fired, and the galaxy would never be the same. The end.